If you feel confused, trapped, and drained in your relationship, see this. Nothing is clearly wrong, but nothing feels right anymore. You try to explain it, but you can't. On the surface, everything still looks like a relationship. Conversations happen. Moments exist. There are even times where it feels good. And yet, underneath all of that, something feels off in a way you can't ignore. You find yourself replaying simple interactions in your head, trying to understand what just happened. You question your tone, your words, your reactions. You wonder if you said too much or not enough, if you were too emotional or not understanding enough. And the more you think about it, the more confused you feel. There are moments where you want space, not because you don't care, but because you feel overwhelmed. Then the moment you create that distance, something else appears, a discomfort, a fear. Like stepping away might cost you something you are not ready to lose. So you stay, trying to make sense of something that never fully settles inside you. And slowly, without realizing it, the confusion starts to go deeper. It is no longer just about what they do or say. It starts affecting how you see yourself, how you respond, how you trust your own perception. You are not just confused about the relationship, you are starting to feel confused about yourself. And this is where most people misunderstand what is happening. This is not just about being in the wrong relationship. This is about what happens to your mind when clarity is slowly taken away. When things feel just stable enough to stay, but unstable enough to keep you questioning everything. That is why you feel trapped. That is why you feel drained. Not because you are weak, but because you are trying to find clarity in something that keeps shifting. And by the end of this, you are going to understand exactly why you feel this way, and why walking away feels so much harder than it should. The confusion you feel is not random. It did not appear out of nowhere, and it is not a sign that you are overthinking or being too sensitive. It is being created. Not always intentionally, not always in an obvious way, but consistently enough to affect how you process everything inside the relationship. Think about what happens when signals are clear, when someone is consistent, when their words match their actions, when their behavior aligns with what they say. You feel grounded, you understand where you stand. Your mind is at ease because there is nothing to decode. Now compare that to what you are experiencing. Moments of closeness followed by distance. Words that sound reassuring, but actions that do not fully match. Situations where something feels off, but you cannot clearly point to why. Your mind tries to make sense of it. So you start analyzing, you revisit conversations, you look for meaning behind small details. You try to connect patterns that never fully connect. This creates mental overload. And when your brain is overloaded with conflicting information, it cannot reach a clear conclusion. Instead, it stays in a loop, trying to resolve something that keeps changing. This is called cognitive dissonance. Two realities existing at the same time. One part of you sees what is happening. Another part tries to hold on to what you want to believe. And the tension between those two creates confusion. And here's the part that most people miss. Confusion keeps you stuck longer than pain, because pain is clear. Pain pushes you to act, but confusion keeps you waiting, hoping, trying to figure it out before making a decision. So you stay longer than you should, not because you do not see the problem, but because you are trying to fully understand it. Let this be clear. You are not indecisive. Your clarity is being disrupted. And as long as that confusion continues, you will keep searching for answers in a place that cannot give them to you. You tell yourself you can leave at any moment. And technically, that is true. There is no physical barrier, no obvious restriction. No one is forcing you to stay. And yet, you don't leave, not because you lack strength, not because you don't see what's happening, but because something inside you feels tied to this in a way that is hard to explain. This is what psychological trapping looks like. It doesn't hold you in place with control. It holds you in place with attachment, with hope, with emotional investment that has been building over time. You remember how it started? The connection, the attention, the moments that felt real. And part of you keeps holding on to that version, even when the present no longer reflects it the same way. So you stay not just because of what is happening now, but because of what once existed, and what you still believe could exist again. This creates a loop. You experience something that feels off. You feel the distance, the inconsistency, the emotional weight. And right when you start questioning it, something shifts. A moment of closeness, a change in behavior, something that gives you just enough reassurance to stay. And that small moment resets everything. You tell yourself maybe it's improving. Maybe you just needed patience. Maybe this is normal. So you stay longer. But underneath all of this, there is another layer that keeps you in place. The fear of being wrong. What if you leave too soon? What if you misunderstood? What if it could have worked and you didn't try hard enough? And that thought alone is enough to keep you from making a decision. So you remain in something that feels uncertain, trying to reach a level of clarity that never fully comes. Understand this clearly. You are not trapped by them. You are trapped by what you keep hoping they will become. And as long as that hope is stronger than what you are actually experiencing, leaving will always feel harder than staying. The exhaustion you feel is not coming from the relationship alone. It is coming from what is happening inside you because of it. There are two versions of you that exist at the same time. One of them sees things clearly. It notices the inconsistency, the tension, the way you feel after certain interactions. It recognizes that something is not right, even if it cannot fully explain it. The other version is trying to make it work. It looks for reasons to stay, to understand, to give it more time. It focuses on the good moments, the potential, the possibility that things can improve. And these two versions are constantly in conflict. One is pulling you toward truth, the other is pulling you toward hope. So instead of moving in one direction, you stay stuck in between. You wake up with one feeling, then shift into another. One moment you feel certain, the next you question everything again. Your thoughts do not align. Your emotions do not settle. This internal back and forth is exhausting, not because of what they are doing, but because of what you are processing. You are trying to reconcile two realities that do not fully match. What you feel versus what you want. What you see versus what you hope for. And the more you try to hold both at the same time, the more energy it takes. This is why you feel drained even when nothing major happens. It is not about one specific moment. It is about the constant tension inside you that never fully turns off. You are not just dealing with the relationship. You are dealing with the internal fight it created. And that is where the real exhaustion comes from. Let this sink in. You are not tired of them. You are tired of fighting yourself. If this feels like it is describing you too accurately, pause for a second and really take that in, because this is not coincidence. This is not just you having a bad phase or over-analyzing things. What you are feeling has a structure. There's a reason your mind keeps going in circles, a reason your energy feels drained, a reason you cannot seem to reach a clear decision. And most people stop here. They recognize the feeling, but they never go deeper into understanding why it is so hard to break away from it. They stay in this loop for months, sometimes years, thinking they just need more clarity, more time, more proof. But what comes next explains something most people never consider. Why even strong, self-aware people get pulled deeper into this dynamic, and why the more you try to figure it out, the more attached you can become. Stay with me, because this next part might change the way you see everything that is happening. What keeps you attached is not just the connection. It is the uncertainty. There is a part of your mind that wants resolution. It wants to understand, to make sense of what is happening, to reach a point where everything feels clear and stable again. And when that clarity is not given, your mind does not let go, it leans in. Think about what happens when something is consistent. When you know what to expect, when behavior is predictable, when emotions feel steady, your mind relaxes. There is nothing to solve. Now think about what you are experiencing. Moments of attention that feel real, then distance that feels confusing. A sense of closeness, followed by a shift you cannot explain. Just when you start questioning everything, something pulls you back in again. This pattern creates something powerful. Attachment through unpredictability. Your brain starts chasing resolution. It wants to understand why things change, what you can do differently, how you can bring things back to how they felt before. So you invest more attention, more energy, more emotional focus. Not because it is fulfilling, but because it is unresolved. And unresolved situations are hard to walk away from. You start feeling like if you could just figure it out, everything would make sense. If you could just understand the pattern, maybe you could fix it. Maybe you could stabilize it. But that clarity never fully arrives. Because the inconsistency is not something you solve. It is something you experience. And the more you try to figure it out, the more attached you become to the process itself. Let this be clear. Clarity would free you. Uncertainty keeps you attached. And as long as you are trying to resolve something that keeps shifting, you will stay emotionally connected to it, even when it is draining you. You did not wake up one day and decide to change who you are. It happened gradually, through small adjustments that felt necessary at the time. You noticed certain reactions, certain moments that created tension, certain things that did not land well. So you adapted. You softened your tone, chose your words more carefully, avoided topics that could lead to conflict. At first, it felt like growth, like you were becoming more understanding, more flexible, easier to be with. But over time, those adjustments started shaping you. You began anticipating reactions before they even happened. You held back opinions that once felt natural. You stopped expressing needs that might be seen as too much. Not because those needs disappeared, but because you learned they were not as sailing received. So you reduced yourself, little by little. You became easier to love, but harder to recognize. There is a moment where this becomes clear. When you realize that you are no longer showing up as you are, but as a version of yourself that feels safer for the relationship. A version that avoids friction, minimizes impact, and prioritizes stability over authenticity. And this creates a quiet loss, because while the relationship might feel more manageable, you start feeling less like yourself inside it, less spontaneous, less expressive, less certain. And the more you adapt, the more distance you create between who you are and how you show up. This is how identity begins to erode, not through one big moment, but through repeated self-adjustment that slowly reshapes you. Let this land. You did not become better. You became smaller. And the more you shrink to maintain the connection, the more you lose the connection with yourself. If this is draining you, confusing you, making you question yourself, why is it so hard to leave? This is the question that stays in the background of everything, because logically, it should be simple. If something does not feel right, you step away. If something takes more than it gives, you let go. But this is not just logic. There is something deeper holding you in place. Part of it is the fear of being wrong, not about what you feel, but about what this relationship could still become. You think about the moments that felt real, the connection that existed, the version of them that showed up in the beginning. And you hold on to that, not as a memory, but as a possibility. You tell yourself maybe it just needs time. Maybe things will stabilize. Maybe you just need to be more patient, more understanding, more willing to work through it. And that belief keeps you connected to something that is not fully present. Then there is the fear of starting over. Letting go means facing the unknown. It means stepping out of something familiar, even if that familiarity is uncomfortable. It means losing not just the person, but the idea you built around them. And that can feel heavier than staying. So you remain in a situation that does not fully meet you, because leaving feels like giving up on something that still has potential. But here's the reality you need to face. You are not holding on to what is real, you are holding on to what it could be. And as long as you are connected to that potential, you will keep justifying what is happening now. This is why leaving feels harder than staying. Because staying allows you to keep the possibility alive. But that possibility comes at a cost. Your clarity, your energy, your sense of self. And the longer you stay connected to what it might become, the further you move away from what it actually is. Now, here's what most people never get to. Not the realization, not the awareness, but the part that actually changes something. Because seeing all of this is one thing. Feeling it, recognizing the patterns, understanding why you are confused, why you feel trapped, why you feel drained. But knowing does not automatically free you. That is where people stay stuck. They wait for more clarity. They wait for the other person to change. They wait for a moment that makes the decision easier, cleaner, less painful. But that moment rarely comes. Because this is not about waiting for something outside of you to shift. It is about what you start doing differently from this point forward. And this part requires something that feels uncomfortable at first. Letting go of the need to figure everything out before you move. Letting go of the idea that you need more proof, more certainty, more answers before you choose yourself. Because the truth is, you already feel enough to know something is not right. So instead of asking what else you need to understand, the focus shifts. What do you need to reclaim? Not the relationship, not the past, not the potential, yourself. And once that becomes the focus, everything begins to change in a way that does not depend on anyone else. Now let's talk about how you actually break this pattern without losing yourself even more in the process. The way out of this does not start with them. It starts with you. Not with a big decision, not with cutting everything off overnight, but with something more subtle and more powerful. You stop looking at them for clarity. Because as long as you are waiting for them to explain, to reassure, to behave in a way that finally makes everything make sense, you will stay dependent on something that has already been inconsistent. Clarity does not come from what they say. It comes from what you experience. And what you have been experiencing already tells you more than you have been willing to accept. So the first shift is internal. You stop asking, what do they mean? What do they feel? What are they going to do? And you start asking, what do I feel when I'm in this? That question brings you back to yourself. Then something else becomes necessary. You name what you have been avoiding. It's not out loud to them, internally to yourself. This does not feel right. Those words matter more than you think, because confusion survives when things remain undefined. The moment you give a clear name to what you feel, the fog starts to lift. You are no longer trying to decode everything. You are recognizing it. And once you recognize it, another shift becomes possible. You separate love from peace. You stop assuming that because you feel something for someone, it means you should stay. You begin to see that love can exist without stability, without clarity, without emotional safety. And you choose to measure your reality differently, not by how strong the connection feels, but by how stable your inner state feels. Do you feel calm? Do you feel secure? Do you feel like yourself? If the answer is no, that matters. Then comes something that takes practice. You rebuild self-trust. You stop questioning every feeling that arises. You stop needing external confirmation to validate your experience. You start making small decisions based on what you feel, even when it is uncomfortable. Because the more you act on your own perception, the stronger it becomes. And finally, you let go of something that has been keeping you attached this entire time. The version of this that exists only in your mind. What it could be, what it used to feel like, what you believe it might become. You release that, and you face what is actually here. Not what you hoped for, not what you imagined, what is real. And in that moment, something shifts. You realize you do not need more signs. You need to trust the ones you already have. You've been trying to make sense of something that keeps you confused. Not because you're weak, not because you're too emotional, but because part of you kept believing that if you just understood it better, it would finally feel right. But now you see it differently. The confusion was never the problem. It was the signal. A signal that something inside you was not aligned with what you were experiencing. A signal that your mind was trying to resolve something that your intuition already recognized. And instead of trusting that signal, you kept searching for more clarity in the same place that was creating the confusion. That is why it felt endless. But the moment you stop chasing answers from them, something changes. You begin to hear yourself again. You begin to feel grounded in your own perception. You begin to see things without needing to reinterpret them to make them easier to accept. And that is where your power returns. Not in controlling the outcome, not in fixing the relationship, but in reconnecting with the part of you that knows what feels right and what does not. Let this be clear. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You have been trying to stay in something that required you to disconnect from yourself to make it work, and now you no longer have to do that. So if something in this resonated with you, do not ignore it. That clarity you feel right now is not temporary. It is the beginning of something deeper. The moment you stop chasing clarity from them, you start finding it within yourself. And once that happens, everything starts to shift. If this gave you clarity, stay connected, because this is where everything begins to change.